Assalamualaikum and welcome back to TPM X My Drone Tech Festival 2020. And together with me now is Mr. Saravanan, MUDAS committee member, who will be with us today to share about finding your frequency and the importance of MCMC. All right, I think I'll hand over to Mr. Saravanan and please share.
Yeah, morning Farhan. It's good to be here today to share about the frequencies for the drones, and then I will share all the needs and the requirements for the frequencies. Okay. Now to start with, what is frequency? See, this is a drone. This drone has to operate from the RC. This is the remote controller. The remote controller and the drone, they work. The remote controller transmit and the drone receive. For this to happen, the frequency comes into action. Okay, so these are the things that we're going to talk about today. And what is the rules and regulation? Okay, so radio frequency. So the one who's in charge of the frequency is Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission, MCMC. Everyone knows about it. What do? Is they come up with regulations for all the frequencies that are being used in Malaysia. Not only for drone, for your handphone and for any wireless devices that's being used, they will be using they come up with the act. And they are also not just looking at the frequency, they're also using at the power that the frequency is emitting and receiving. Okay? Now, to move forward, so they will advise when the new, like 5G is coming in, they also will advise the entire agencies, they will come up with rules and regulation, what kind of what kind of frequency can be used. It's very important that the drone is also moving to 5G, so we are looking forward for MCMC's new finding. So what are the frequencies that are being used for drones or approved for drones? Okay, so I will talk about that now. For the radio frequency that has been approved for drones are 433 to 435. That is the lowest frequency that can be used. But the power that they give for that is 100 milliwatt. Okay. Then the next one that is commonly being used is 2400 to 2500. Okay. And the power they give is 500 milliwatt. And the next one is 5725 to 5800. Okay. So these are the three frequencies that we can use for any drones in Malaysia. So if you talk about these frequencies, when you are talking about a DJI drone, it's very well, everyone is using DJI drones. So DJI drone comes with two frequencies, 2400 and 5800. Okay, so those two are commonly used. This is what we call open frequencies. Okay, so these two frequencies, when you bring in the drone to Malaysia, these two frequencies you can straight away use. You don't need to have special approval for certain kind of drones. There are a lot of drones being used with these frequencies. There are some drones which is using the 433 to 435. Okay, the questions that is normally being raised by the drone industry players is we talk about drone delivery. Okay, everyone is talking about drone delivery, COVID-19, sending vaccines and so on, and it's a hype that everyone is talking about. With the frequency that is being allocated, there is a distance that the frequency can actually work. Okay, so
Limitations.
Like if you're talking about this DJI, they claim some of their drones can go up to 5 kilometers, some 7 kilometers, and the latest up to 10 kilometers. They say you have to have a clear line of sight for these drones to operate, correct? Now, but drone delivery cannot be limited to 5 kilometers or 7 kilometers. We have to go beyond that. Okay, then only the drone deliveries ecosystem will be well received. Okay, in order for them to do that, they have to use frequencies which can allow them to receive their telemetry and also their video feed when the drone is on air and is flying. It also comes back to the air safety and air readiness when the drone is in operation. For such cases, they will require to use special frequencies. The lower the frequency is, the further it can actually go. Okay? Unfortunately, the way that the frequencies are being made in Malaysia is 900 hertz or 900 megahertz are being used for cellular. Okay, this is a common frequency that's used in overseas for long distance. So in Malaysia, when people are bringing in drones with these frequencies, they will be facing problems on getting approvals. So they have to go back to MCMC, and MCMC has actually given a band, which is 5030 to 5091. Okay, this is the band that you can purchase from MCMC for all these kind of long range or special approvals, special drones that requires them to have a dedicated frequencies for their operations. Okay, 433, it has a lower watt. 100 milliwatt is a bit small, so you cannot go far. So the way forward for them is to go for this 530 up to 5091. Just to add on it, there is charges for that, which roughly around 30,000 to 70,000 per month. But this one we have to get back to MCMC on what is their actual contribution and so on. So moving forward, there is a notice that has been published in MCMC's website for drone operation itself. So people who doesn't know about this, they can always visit the website and look at it. And here we have also highlighted the frequencies again: 433, 435, and then 2400 to 25000, 5725 and 5875. Below is the chart, okay, the spectrum allocations in Malaysia. So if you take this and you have a drone manufacturer that is from overseas, they're asking about what is the frequencies that are being used in Malaysia, you can actually forward this spectrum allocations in Malaysia. So they will, from the chart, they will know what is the open, what is for marine, what is for cellular, so they can understand and you can move forward with your.
So this information is available on MCMC's website.
Yes, yes.
So what's the advice that you would give before commercial drone players bring in any type of drones into the country?
They should, of course, understand what are the frequencies that they can use.
Mm-hmm.
They should go to the website and download these spectrum allocations in Malaysia, and also look into this notice that has been released. And there are FAQs in their website itself where there's a lot of these questions being asked. You can look through that as well. Okay, so why is this frequency very important? Okay, why it plays a big role? Earlier we have had a session about CRIM, right? So CRIM is the body who actually give the certification saying that this particular UAV system is using these allowed frequencies, so that you don't have that problem in Malaysia. And further to this, the most important part is if you look at these permit applications that we have currently by CAM, there is already a section where you have to fill up the CRIM UAS certification, which talks about the MCMC approval. Okay, so all drones that is going to be used for commercial operation in Malaysia, and when we are doing these applications with CAM to get their permit, we have this to be filled up. So without this, you will not get the permit.
Got it.
So then you cannot get your job done. There's a delay and everything. So prior to engaging into a job, it is very vital that the drone operator companies understand the frequencies that is allowed and follow the rules and regulations. And if they need special frequencies for their operations, then they have to make the applications. There are companies in Malaysia who has already obtained such permits, okay, and they are doing long range successfully after they have gone through a long, lengthy process, and they have got it, and it is flying now in Malaysia using 5030 frequencies.
So this is a commercial drone application and services. So what's the difference between the drones that is commercially used and the band usage compared to the military ones?
Okay, so of course in every country, like police, they use, if I'm not mistaken, is 144. They have special low frequencies that they use, which is given by the MCMC for the defense and the policing of the country. They have low frequencies which allow them to fly further. As a public or a commercial user, we cannot tap into that frequencies because it is on the national interest that given that frequencies and they operate with that frequencies. Okay, so that they can monitor our borders, any incidents that's happening.
Got it.
Fly further. And those frequencies are, the analogy here or the rule of thumb is, if you have a low frequency, which is like 400 or 900 or lower, you travel further. Okay? And if you have bigger frequencies, your distance become lower.
Got it, got it. There's one question that comes to mind, because so every country usually has different regulations in different countries, right? So for drone operators in Malaysia, building their own drones using certain band and frequencies, or bringing in drones from overseas to be operated in Malaysia or regionally, how does that work, across regions?
Okay, so from my understanding in the industry for the last 5 years and selling drones as well, the most of the drones that is coming from China or other regions, they always use these low frequencies, which is 900 and below, or 500 and 400. Okay, so they use those kind of frequencies. So when we are building drones in our country and selling it outside, so first the manufacturers should understand their target market. If they are targeting Europe, then they should look at something similar to MCMC in Europe, try to understand what is the common frequency that's being used there, and then use that as their telecommunication or telemetry frequency. And they should get VTX, video transmitters and receiver, for both data and video, which has a CE and FCC approval, so that when they are exporting it out from Malaysia to there, it is easy for them to use it following the standards. And CIRIM can play a role where they certify the drones that is being made in Malaysia is following these standards. And CIRIM is also a world-renowned certification body.
Got it. Is there any more slides that you would like to share?
No,
or we can
go for the Q&A.
Okay, all right. Let's try to see some of the Q&As that we have here on our YouTube comments section. I have one but this one has been answered by Cik Muhammad Noor directly on the chat. Okay, I think there's this one question that I see here that is in regards to this BVLOS operations. So I think based on the latest development that we have and the ones that have been announced recently, so at this point of time or in the near future, let's say 12 months or nearer within the first quarter of 2021, how do local companies that is deploying EVLOS or BVLOS, what are the processes that they need to use and what are the frequencies available for them, to be able to operate drone delivery or testing drone delivery in certain areas that is gazetted or allowed by the government to do this kind of testing?
Okay, again, we have to follow the current rules that is available. We have to follow the current rules that is available in Malaysia. And CAM's rules already stipulate, and MCMC has already been stipulated, because CAM is following what MCMC has gazetted. And currently, our frequencies that is allowed is still 2400, 25800, and 433. And if they want to do this, as I said earlier, they have to use and they have to apply the 5030 frequencies. So I can go back to my slide. So here's the frequencies that is allowed. And the special frequency is down there, 5030. Okay. Now, if they want to use even different frequencies on an area that we are going to come up with few test beds in Malaysia, so they have to write into SKM, MCMC, and then explain to them the need for such requirement, and it very much depends on MCMC's approval for that. Okay, so BVLOS is an operation that is going ahead in near future, but I think we are still limited. There will be a problem with the frequencies that we have currently available for us to achieve the full potential of BVLOS operation. And I suggest that the companies who wish to do this BVLOS operation to really look into the frequencies that they're going to use, and if it requires special permits, they should go in and start doing the application before they do their operation. So again, as I said earlier, the two ways that it is communicating is from this RC and this drone. It needs this for the frequencies from the whatever control that we are sending from the RC, it goes to the drone. And there is one more frequencies that is being used, which is also the video. Okay, we are using a lot of FPV, and also we are also using FPVs for us to see the videos. The videos will also either use 2400 or you can also use 5800. Like DJI, they use one frequency for telemetry and another frequency for video, or sometimes they can just use, they have this adaptation that it can always adapt by itself, change from one frequency to another frequency. It's called frequency hopping.
Got it, got it. Sarah, so I've been in some Facebook groups of the drone hobbyists, for example. So I've seen people trying to extend the frequency range of their drones, off-the-shelf drones. So is there a risk to that, in terms of safety, and then in terms of the safety of the equipment itself, and then the safety of the operation that maybe out there that there's something else that is currently operating? Can you share a little bit? What's the consequences of that?
Okay, these guys they are risk takers. I mean, yes, you have an equipment which can fly. For example, if you're using a Mavic series or Mavic Mini or any DJI products that they are using, or their own products, they know that this frequency can only go up to 3 kilometers. There are some people who's doing it for job because they want to have a better gain. They put extra accessories like antennas and also boosters, we call it. It boosts the signal. Like FPV, they like to have directional boosters onto their goggles itself so that they get better fit. But FPV for a racing drone do not have much challenge because it's very short time and within a certain areas. But if you are using a drone which is flying on an open space with these boosters, there are two potential possibilities that can happen. One, it can fly away when you already reach a range where you cannot get the control back or any feedbacks from the RC. Okay, another one, when it flies away, it will fall onto some people. That is why, if you look at our Magno's earlier first session where he's talking about the 10 rules of flying, you must always maintain visual line of sight. So these drones that is commercially available is already set into that you can visually see the drones with the range that it can go. When you extend it, it becomes an operation that you cannot see the drone. When you don't see the drone, you're only depending on the video that you get from the FPV stream. If you lose that, then they become panic. They don't know how to react to it. Then that is where the problem starts.
So what's the penalty in terms of regulation on that specific part?
That falls back to MCMC's, CM's penalties for operating drones without certifications and so on.
Got it. So I think for the people out there, I think in Malaysia at this point of time, we are one of the region's biggest importers of drones in ASEAN, and it's gonna keep on growing within the next 5 years. So I think everyone has the responsibility to be able to follow whatever regulation that is there, to ensure that the safety, not just from your side. When you are operating up there, there are risks, in terms of other operations in the air, as well as the environmental safety that you need to take care of, right?
Yeah, I also would like to advise these importers of the drones to also make sure that the drones that they are importing into Malaysia, they get the import permits straight away, so that the persons who's buying these drones, not every person who's buying a drone knows about these frequencies and so on, because it is readily available in the market. So I just go and buy. As a consumer, they will think like, okay, as far as I'm concerned, this drone is already in Malaysia, it already passed through all the certification, and I can fly it. Okay, there are a consumer market which is like that, who's not very much onto commercial, but they just buy the drone and use. So it is very important that the persons who are bringing in the drones from overseas, they follow the frequencies that is allowed and also get the import permit together, so that the one who buys and they want to get the permit from CAM, it makes their life easier. Okay.
I think we've got few questions from the YouTube channel. I think let's try to see if some of this makes sense to the topic that we are discussing today. One question from Rosdiadi Nordin. So he's asking, can we apply the same regulation for UAV if it is operating on licensed band of mobile network, just like the current way we are treating the smartphone?
Okay, so he's talking about controlling a drone using a
smartphone,
or what we call as 4G, 3G, and the upcoming 5G. There are drones currently having dual functions, which is using a telemetry, and at the times that you can set it to be primary or secondary. Okay, which is going to be primary? 4G, and when they loses the 4G, it goes to the redundancy, which is the 2400 or 5800. But to move forward, of course, the 5G is the one that comes in. This is something that we are also want to talk to MCMC on understanding that what is the new regulations for drones that will be operated under 5G. Do we still need to get special permits or not? Okay, because if you're talking about 5G, it is already going to allowed frequency. Okay, so when you're using a drone with that, theoretically, you should not get any issues with it, but we still need to see what MCMC is coming out with that.
Got it. So it's still an uncharted area. So I think these are the kind of things that, for example, from agencies like us in MDAC, or together when we are working together with Magic, for example, they've come up with this program called National Technology Innovation Sandbox. And from MDAC side, we have been building a few areas in Malaysia to be considered as a drone testbed area. One of it is already existing, which is in Cyberjaya, near to Futurize, and there's an exact place in Cyberjaya under Cyberview, which allows the usage of 5G, for example. So I think if you want to do those kind of testings, do get in touch with us, and we'll try to get you to work together with these agencies to test your products. And there are also a few other areas, for example, in Medini Johor, which is in Iskandar. So there will be some announcements made where you can also do this kind of testings in Johor. And also together with our current partner, Technology Park Malaysia, so they have a lot of areas in Technology Park Malaysia, and they are currently applying some exemption and trying to get companies to try to test new kind of communication technology using their drones in a safe kind of environment. So I think moving forward for next year, there are a lot of things that we need to do and test. And all these case studies, all these reports will go back to the regulators to see how these kind of things works. And eventually those will go and feed back to the regulators to make and improve their current regulations. Right?
Yeah, it's very important that we have these test beds available for anyone who's venturing into these UAV and UAS systems. And the test bed is very important for us to do this kind of tests. We need to collect data of 100 hours, 10 hours,
Yes.
All these hours is very important for that to get approval from CM in future that, okay, we have tested our drone with these frequencies, which is 5G, for over 100 hours, and this is our result. What are the improvements that we have done, and so on. So
Understood.
It's good to have those.
Understood. And I think for everyone's information, I think in the region, I think aside from our neighbor in Singapore, we are one of the countries that is actually very, very progressive in terms of supporting the development and growth of the drone industry. And I think in terms of the regulators, in terms of the readiness of the companies, in terms of the readiness of the company that provides this kind of technology, right? Let's say like telecommunication, in terms of batteries. And I think if the companies out there, if the R&D companies are ready to come up with this kind of solutions, I think MDAC, TPM, MUDAS are ready to work together with you guys, to develop these kind of solutions for the benefit of people in the future, right?
Yeah, MUDAS is always open for this kind of things, and we will always share our expertise and resources that is available to take this kind of initiative forward.
All right, I think that's all the time we have. Thank you so much, Sarah. And don't go anywhere, because in our next session, we will have MUDAS to share on JUPAM's UAS permit application. So we'll go on a 5 minutes break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sarah.